We live in a society that does not value an internal life, and solitude is different from loneliness. There's a ritual element to it, and seamless to your life, as like brushing your teeth is. And our minds are just super permeable to suggestion. If the suggestion is like, calm down, let's relax, let's connect with ourselves, let's remember what's important here. So I want to talk about either starting or maintaining a regular meditation practice. And I was thinking, just approaching it from the who, what, where, when, and why, the old reporter framework, to think about starting or maintaining a practice. I know it's a hard thing for a lot of people to do. Fairly easy thing to start, but maintaining is kind of another thing. But even getting started can be a challenge. So this question of who is it that wants to start the meditation practice? Obviously it's you. You wouldn't be watching this video if it wasn't you. But like, what parts of yourself want to do this? Who's going to be involved in this? Is it just you? Is it just something you want to do by yourself? Is it something you want that a partner or family members a part of? Do you want to be part of a meditation community, either in real life or online? All of those things, I think, are important questions. And thinking about who you are in this moment, where you're at in your life, in a place of despair or grief or renewal, or wherever you're at in life. So really just knowing who you are and what your motivations are. What is a big question, right? Like, what are you going to do in your practice that's going to nourish you and support you? There's a million meditation practices out there, right? Whether it's some kind of basic mindfulness or concentration type practice, or maybe it's more of a loving kindness practice or a transcendental meditation practice. Mine have just varied throughout my sort of meditation career, I guess you could say. I've been meditating for 24 years, roughly. And yeah, mine change over time. Serving me right now wouldn't have made sense 2 years ago, or probably even 6 months ago, or 20 years ago. But I've been able to discern what's like best for me in a given sort of season of my life. But one thing I think is true is that, kind of digging your well deeply in one spot can be really helpful, to do the sort of repetition of the same thing in your regular practice. Start to get some traction. I think that's the thing that can be so hard for people, is just not getting the traction to really have the practices stick and really become a part of you. The idea of a regular practice is that you really don't get out the door until you've done it, or you don't go to bed until you've done it. It's seamless to your life, as like brushing your teeth is. It's not something that you question doing. Lots to choose from there, lots of resources out there about kinds of practices. You might want to think about whether you want a guided meditation, lots of apps out there for that, lots of support for that, or if you want to do just set a timer and do your practice. Definitely recommend having sort of a set period of time. Otherwise, the tendency is just like, I'm done with this, or I'm not doing it right, or your to-do list gets the best of you. Where is important too. So here I've filming this in my home meditation space. So this is a place that I've set up in my office that serves me well, that's quiet and nourishing to me. It's a refuge. It feels really safe to me and peaceful in this room. I'm a big fan of the old Virginia Woolf book, A Room of One's Own, and just this idea that, particularly as a woman, that a woman needs a room of one's own. But I understand that that's not possible for everybody, but having your own space, really carving out a space for yourself that is for you, for your well-being, for your wellness, for your spiritual, sacred space. Um, that's just incredibly invaluable, you know. And this is about creating a space where you can be in solitude, you know. And solitude is different from loneliness, right? Solitude is an intentional practice of being alone with yourself, so that we can ultimately get to know ourselves more. That's what it's about, is getting to know ourselves more. Certainly we can get more peace, we can regulate our nervous system, we can reduce stress, we can do all that stuff, but it's ultimately just knowing ourselves more and more deeply as we progress in our meditation practice. But yeah, just thinking about your space, it's nice to have a clean space. Full of pet hair can be nice. But yeah, clean, right? Clean space, clean mind. So finding a space that just feels sacred. Maybe you have some sacred objects up on a little altar. I've got a Kuan Yin here, and a little singing bowl, and a Tibetan prayer wheel, just a couple of things. Candles can be nice, flowers. So the so-called ancients, whoever they were exactly, believed that the best time to practice is between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. I would actually tend to agree with that, because I think it is considered a really like potent time when our minds, it's like that space, that liminal space between sleeping and waking, and our minds are just super yeah, they're just very permeable to suggestion. And so, you know, if the suggestion is like, calm down, let's relax, let's connect with ourselves, let's remember what's important here, like it's really just like setting us up in a really excellent way. I usually don't meditate quite that early, but I usually more like, you know, 6-ish, 7 in the morning, but I'm a morning person. That works really well for me. For some people, like right before bed can be a really good time in the evenings. Um, I haven't been able to get a ton of traction around practicing in the evenings over the years. I've just always been a morning meditator, but it's really about finding a place where you can actually get a little traction and get things going with your practice. So just finding that time and being consistent on the time. It doesn't have to be the same time every day, all the time, but I think generally having a set time is good. Yeah, if for some reason I miss the morning, then I can sort of pick it up later in the day, or the afternoon or evening. So, you know, and then it can be, you know, maybe it's in your car on your lunch break, or maybe it's, you know, it's some sort of liminal time. If, you know, maybe you're a therapist, it's before you meet with clients that you have a grounding practice, you know. So there's a ritual element to it. And, you know, many people would argue that our lives are, you know, lacking ritual in kind of the modern world. So, you know, creating that ritual for yourself. And again, if being a part of a community or collective, I think is really important as we hold ourselves accountable and find the nourishment of community and growing as a community. But it could be with your family or your partner, or even your kids. Why is the last one. And yeah, I think that gets back to a little bit of my inquiry around like, who is it that wants to do this practice. But I think going deeply with this question of why can be really helpful. And maybe, you know, journaling a little bit about like why you want to get this off the ground or like recommit to an existing practice can be really helpful. And I think what I find with myself and with my students over the years is that we often have these unconscious motives and unconscious expectations on what we want out of our practice, right? That it's going to make us a really good person, or I'll finally be, worthy, or I'll be able to do X, Y, or Z, or, there's like a sort of, with our culture, this accomplishment oriented inclination there. And that's not bad or wrong. That's just how our minds are. But I find all the time that I have these unconscious expectations, or maybe even like that, my mind is going to be still, like that's my expectation, or I expect it to be calm or something. That's only rarely the case. So thinking about why, thinking what really is motivating us, and my sense is it's probably, you want to be happier, you want to reduce stress and support the parts of yourself that are wounded, achieve something that someone else has set up, or that somebody else has deemed optimal, like really owning your practice, owning it for yourself, and like what really works for you in this season of your life. And it will change over time, and honoring those changes. But the rewards are, I just can't even begin to express the rewards. The rewards are many, and it will ultimately help to facilitate letting go of layers of our false selves that don't serve us well, and it'll help us get at more of an authentic self from which we can live our lives from. And it's a slow process. Will not be complete in this lifetime, but it's a beautiful process. So, and one final thing is, maybe think about keeping a meditation journal nearby, so you can like just write about your, your experience. What was the practice like? If you're into like, oh, I did it for this long, or I did this thing this many times, I did this many mantras with my prayer beads, wherever my prayer beads are. I counted this number. You want to keep track of it or something like that. You could do that. But the reflections that you have about your practice. And ultimately, it's just claiming our internal life for ourselves. We live in a society that does not value an internal life. And so it's a way to claim our internal life and to say, hey, yeah, I value my internal life, and this is the way I'm going to honor that. So it's just the most incredible gift you can give to yourself, and ultimately the people around you will definitely benefit from it. So thanks for being here. Happy meditating.